Good morning, everybody. I guess six of us are leaders. Hey, listen, it's a small pool, right? As I as I told my son as he was going through the ranks of football, I'm like, hey, buddy, there's a difference between Pop Warner and high school. There's a difference between high school and college, and there is sure a difference between amateurs and pros. So here we are. It is a small group. Hey, listen, in advance, apologize. I am in my home office, which I'm very happy to be in because I know everything actually works. But the house had a flood. And so I've got in the other room a bunch of contractors and they're banging away. And I got a headache as a result of it. But you guys will probably hear some of that. But, like this is just how we roll, right? So good morning. Good morning, Jens. What's happening? What is going on? All right. So, hey, listen, it's 9:33 my time. So we're already 3 minutes late. I'm going to rip for 57 minutes. Anybody that had 90 minutes on their list, I got good news for you. You get 30 minutes of your life back. So that's cool. Well, true to form. Well, first of all, let's start off with this. This is the Corner Office Inner Circle. This is where leaders come to be better leaders. This is where wannabe leaders come to dip their toe in what it might look like to be leaders, the kind of conversations that leaders are having. Obviously, I think that I'm uniquely qualified to have conversations like this. I think we've done a pretty good job building an organization, although it is certainly not without its struggles. And I was fully prepared to have some conversations with you all. And then this morning, I had some things happen, and I'm like, you know what? F that. Full left turn. And what I found myself this morning is I was angry. And it's interesting, right? As leaders, we talk about, hey, don't get triggered, uh, control your emotions. But you know what it doesn't say? Is it doesn't say you're not allowed to have emotions. It doesn't say don't have emotions. It says manage your emotions. And this morning I was mad. And I have every right to be mad. And frankly, I can be mad even if I don't have the right to be mad. But I was pissed this morning. And yet I needed to manage my emotions. And so the question that kept coming up to my head was, well, how do you manage emotions if you're angry? And our leadership summit that took place in Scottsdale this month. By the way, we're doing another leadership summit and sales warrior coaching certification in late February is our next one. If you have an interest in being a sales warrior certified coach, or if you're interested in hanging out with some other badass men and women leaders, just text me and I'll get you some information. But that's going to be a great one. But anyway, during that, we talked about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And as I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, how am I able to manage my emotions? Because here's the thing, right? My wife is out working. She's out touring some of our offices, and so I'm at home, and so I'm doing as my kids say, Dad, you are momming hard right now. All right. So I'm doing all the mom stuff, which, boy, I tell you what, if you ever really wanted to appreciate what the other spouse does, just have them leave for a few days. And you find out really quickly how much they actually do. That moment where you're taking them for granted. I am not taking her for granted right now. But I was scrambling around. I had like laundry that needed to get done and kids to get lunches made for and breakfast made for and make sure it's picture day and it's this day and then I'm like headed to the deal. And then of course one of the kids forgets his band instrument and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I've got some things going on at work that are making me mad and I have to be there. Right. And then my baby, it's our we're going to go to Starbucks this morning. We're going to have coffee. We're going to have breakfast. We're going to have a moment. We're doing Proverbs. Like, I can't be mad. Can't be mad. You got to show up, right? You got to manage those emotions. And for me, that means you've got to build that muscle that allows you to be able to manage those emotions. And I know we're talking about emotions and we're on a leadership call, but I'm just saying that's what leadership oftentimes looks like. And so my question to you today is, are you living comfortably? Or are you getting comfortable being uncomfortable? Anybody on here do ice baths? Yeah. So ice baths are what I'm talking about. Okay. Because here's the thing about an ice bath. You don't have to do it. And it's terribly uncomfortable for the first, I don't know, 20 seconds. You only need to be in it for a minute, maybe two, but the first 20 seconds are horrific. And then not so bad. And then, by the way, day 10, a little bit better. Day 100, a little bit better. It still sucks. But you build this muscle in you that's like, hey, listen, being uncomfortable is just not that big of a deal. I know there's an end. It's going to be all right. And there's all these like really interesting, like when you look at all of the influencers, social media, YouTube, whatever, and you listen to all these people that are talking about leadership, and they talk about discipline, they talk about commitment, they talk about focus, they talk about influence, they talk about branding. It's just getting comfortable. Being uncomfortable, dealing with discomfort requires discipline, requires commitment, all of those things. So a little bit of a reframe on how we might think about discipline. Discipline is the ability to like stoke that fire. You know what I'm talking about? And the fire's getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, and yet you keep stoking the fire. The opposite of discipline is doing something sometimes and then like not doing it. And then doing it again and then not doing it. There's a guy named Lewis Howe that I follow, and he had a post or a statement that he put out the other day. It said, "Don't be surprised if you leave your coffee and you come back later and it's cold. ... And I'm not talking about coffee." That's what discipline is. That's the difference. It's why so many people quit, because what happens is they get to doing something and they're like, I'm making progress. I'm making progress. My coffee's hot. My coffee's hot. All right, now I don't feel like doing it today. I don't feel like doing it today. I'm not going to do it today. And then they come back and they're like, dang it, my coffee's cold. I got to heat the coffee back up, and I got to, okay, my coffee's hot. And then they stop and they come back and it's cold again. And then they go, shit, man, I quit. This was way harder than I thought it was going to be. This is taking way longer than I thought it was going to take me. This is way out of my comfort zone. I'm experiencing discomfort too long. And all they really needed to do was stay committed, to stay disciplined, to get through to the other side, because all they did was delayed the fact that my coffee would have been drunk by now, right? But they walked away from it. Now it's cold. I don't know if that lands for anybody. But like, that's what I was feeling this morning as I was going through it. I'm like, you know what? F this. I'm so mad. Like, I'm just going to take a mental health day. I used to have a guy that was in a buddy of mine who was in the financial services business. And he would just be like, oh, I'm going to take a mental health day. I'm like, bro, that's called a vacation day. And you can call it whatever you want, but you just quit for the day. So when you get to that place where you're comfortable being uncomfortable, things are going to change. I don't know how else to say it other than what I went through for the last, let's call it 24 hours or 24 months. All right. And my ability to deal with the pain associated with leading an organization during an economy like this, through brutal M&As, through loss, through gain, through challenge, through lawsuits and settlements and all of these things, the pain required to be able to deal with, because you're being asked as a leader, not just to manage your emotions, but you're actually having to sort of be the thermostat in the room for everybody else's. Things will change. That discomfort and your comfort in that discomfort, things will change. They're just going to be different. And you'll know that they're different when your trauma, the things that you go through, they become your teachings. You get comfortable living in your failures, living in your challenges, and you're like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this stuff to teach somebody how to avoid the pain that I went through, or compress the time that it took me to get there. You'll know that things have changed when all of a sudden you're sharing experiences, not telling, right? You hear me say that all the time. Listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to share with you what we've done. You take it or leave it. Like, you figure it out. These are the things that work for us. These are the things that didn't work for us. But as humans, How many times have you, like anybody have kids? We all know, right? You tell your kids, hey, listen, if you do this, this is what will likely happen. The only reason I know that is because I've experienced it. And they're like, oh, you're no good. You know what you're talking about. They go out and do it. They bloody their nose and they come back. Damn, you were right. Well, I know I'm right. I mean, just because I'm old, right, doesn't mean I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It just means that I've been through a thing or two, right? So we share with our people. We don't tell them. But oftentimes that's a vulnerable place because what you're doing is you're saying, hey, listen, this is an experience that I had, and likely the experience, again, the trauma is what I'm going to be talking about. That's what I'm going to be teaching about. That's being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Hey guys, sorry for the interruption. I'm going to get you right back to the video, but most of you know me as a real estate broker, or maybe somebody who's built and scaled one of the fastest growing sales organizations in the country. What you may not know is that I also work with other sales professionals and leaders that are looking to grow and scale their businesses and just live badass lives. The one place that I have everybody start, the very first spot, is the lethal scripts for the sales warrior. I'm going to give you one for free today just so that you can get a little taste of what it is that we're doing out there. So click on the link below. We'll send you the information and let's get back to the video. You'll know that things are different when you're listening to the word and not the world, right? As my pastor would say, right? And y'all, by the way, you all know I'm a Christian dude, right? So like you believe whatever you're going to believe. I believe in Jesus. And so my thing is that like people say, hey, what's the best leadership book? What's the best entrepreneurs book? What's the best book you've ever read? It's the Bible. I mean, literally, it tells you everything you ever needed to know about being an entrepreneur. It tells you everything you ever needed to know about being a leader. It tells you what to do, what not to do, what to avoid, what the world is going to throw at you. It tells you how to deal with the things that are being thrown. It tells you everything. So, but that's the word, not the world. See, the world wants you to talk about zeros and commas and decimal points. They want to talk about like I call them the Wall Streeters, right? Sorry for anybody that is the part of the Wall Street community. I'm not a big fan. All right, I've had them in my family. I'm just not a big fan. They care more about the share price than they care about the care price of people. Right? That's just how it functions. But the Bible tells you that's not right. That's of the world. This is the word. You do this, and it's worked out pretty well. You know things are different when you trade like nights for mornings. Because see, nights for mornings, everybody says, "Oh, you're a morning person." I don't know how many of you on this call just were like born a morning person. It wasn't me. Okay, I'd sleep until noon if I could, but I traded my night. I'd like to stay up. I'd like to be out late, and I'm a night owl, right? But I traded them. And the reason I traded him is because number one, it was uncomfortable. Number two, every successful person I'd ever met, they owned their mornings. See, they had done more in the 2-3 hours before anybody else woke up than anybody else. And they literally owned the day. They completely crushed everybody else's soul with their ability to get things done, focused. And something really interesting happened when we had kids. And that is those little buggers wake up at 7 o'clock, 6:30, whatever it is, whether you like that or not. And the minute they're awake until they go to bed, your life is no longer yours. And so for me, I needed that extra hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours of just time for me to be able to stay completely and totally focused. But it took discipline, and things are different when you're like, hey, I'm willing to trade going out and staying out late, binge watching whatever on TV until all hours of the night. And in turn, what I'll do is I'll start waking up earlier in the morning. You know things are different with discipline has completely and totally changed your life when you stop numbing and start listening. Stop numbing your feelings and start listening to your feelings. Stop numbing your thoughts and start listening to your thoughts. You just know, like everything's changed when that happens. By the way, your feelings, your thoughts, the quiet ones, the ones that most of us are uncomfortable in, right? Again, comfortable in discomfort. Everybody does them differently. Some of those can literally sit in a room. Some people have to go for a trail run. It doesn't really matter what yours is, but the moment that you bury your feelings, the moment that you're drinking too much or smoking a little weed or taking a little gummy or popping some prescription pill to avoid dealing with the shit that's going on, you are no longer a leader. You know things have changed with regards to discipline when you trade right now for later. Like right now, I want a donut, but later I think I'd like a six pack. So can you delay gratification? Right now, I don't want to make my phone calls, but later I want the money, the sales, the impact, the scale, the growth, the mortgages, the loans, the whatever. I want them all. You absolutely know things have changed when your standards, listen to me, this is what I'm feeling right now. You ready? You know things are different. You know that your discipline, your courage, your commitment, your leadership, your ability to be comfortable in discomfort, when your standards are so high, only a few people will meet them. See, we just started that. We just started talking about that, right? Hey, my son, Pop Warner football, a little different than high school football. Like like everybody's playing Pop Warner, but once you get into high school football, what is it? 10% of the kids are there. And then you get into college football, and what is it? 4% of the kids make it there. And then we get into the pros, and it's like 1% of the kids make it to the pros. Y'all, think about this for 1 second. The standards are being elevated so high that only a few people can meet them. And that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I know it feels weird. I know it feels bad. Like you feel like you're leaving people behind. Man, that sucks. Like they're good people. I've known them since kindergarten, like all the things, that's my mom. I get it. But you know things are different when your standards are so high that the room just got really small. And when you start talking about, hey, who are the ones that I would call in a jam, in an emergency, if I needed really amazing wisdom, really amazing courage, really amazing leadership, and that room's like teeny. You know things that have changed. You know things that discipline is different. You know that the level of commitment is different when you look at every challenge and you see an opportunity. And listen, that thing is wired into your brain. You were not born that way. Nobody was born that way. That is a choice. You made a decision to look at every challenge as an opportunity. We had great conversations over our leadership summit. One of them was the story about Jesse Eisler going on his 100-mile run, and he trained brought in a coach, which he famously does, right? And the guy was some crazy redneck Southern SEAL who just kept saying, anytime anybody asks you how you're feeling, what do you say? Outstanding. And they spoke the words. They saw something different in this incredible challenge. They saw an opportunity to speak life into their minds and change the outcome. You know that everything's changed when what you do on a daily basis matches what you say you will do. Hey, can I just hit everybody between the eyes? If you said you were going to make phone calls for an hour today and you didn't make phone calls for an hour today, who are you lying to? Like if you work for me, you lied to me, you lied to your team, you lied to yourself, you lied to your spouse, you lied to your kids, you lied to your higher power. Like, I hate to be dramatic about it. If you want to live in discomfort and if you want to get comfortable, you got to be honest. It all starts with that, right? Like, you got to be honest. If you don't work for me, you lied to your boss. So your boss pays you 100% for you to do 100% of the job, and part of the job was making your phone calls. By the way, is that what you're teaching your agents? See, agents are the same way. Sometimes they need that loving squeeze and boot in the butt the same way that we do as leaders to say, hey, listen, honestly, I promised I was going to make phone calls. See, part of my business plan was to deliver, and I need to do 25 transactions, and this is the plan, and I'm going to do it. And then I didn't do it. And so, gosh darn it, I did it. I lied. You know that your discipline and commitment has changed when going to the gym took precedence over going to a party. You know that things have completely changed in you, and you are comfortable being uncomfortable when you find joy in doing what you said, that discipline, instead of the feelings of avoiding it. Right? How many of you have gotten into doing something that's uncomfortable, whether it be a run, a gym session, eating a particular way, doing something that you promised, and you did it enough times and then you skipped a day and you're like, damn, I actually kind of miss it in a sick and twisted way. I kind of miss it. Right? You know that you have gotten comfortable, change, that you have a different relationship with discipline and being uncomfortable when you trade eating for fun into or in for eating for fuel. See, there's a different way to eat for fun, right? It's probably ground beef. It's probably got cheese on it. It's probably stacked between a couple of buns, right? It usually comes with French fries. It probably doesn't look like a grilled chicken breast. It probably doesn't look like white rice. You follow? You know that everything has changed when we're not worried about what we can get right now. We will trade it all for the long-term goal. We know that things have changed. When things no longer happen to us, but they instead happen for us. I don't know why I feel like I'm preaching today, but like fathers have two jobs in the world, right? Their job is to protect and to provide. Like that's our world, right? Like I feel that from a DNA perspective. Yes, I want to love and I want to do all these things. I want to teach and coach and all those things, but really, I will take a bullet to make sure that my people are fed and my people are protected. And the moment that becomes your focus, the moment that you lean into, gosh, how do I want to say this? I can't even say, I can't figure out how to say it. So I'm just going to move on. It's just, I just had this conversation with my son, right? So something happened to him at school. And I was like, hey, dude, listen, I mean, I know you don't like it. I know it's not what you wanted. I know that the plan was different from you, but remember, God's deal is that he's there to provide and protect you. And so you think that something happened to you, and I'm just telling you something happened for you. And you may not know right away. And frankly, you may never know, but there will come a time that I think you probably will know, and you'll see, because through the benefit of hindsight, that you actually were protected from something that was coming at you and you didn't even know it. So there. I pulled it back together. The last one on my list is that things have changed when you stop reacting and you start responding, which was me today, which is how I started this whole thing, right? Like, I'm mad today. I'm just mad. And while I want people to know that I'm angry, that I'm passionate, that I'm fired up, you don't want to be the guy that's, throwing punches and saying things that you can't take back, because as we know, that's not good leadership. That's not leadership at all. How do you manage these emotions, and how do you develop this level of discipline to make sure that you can be passionate, you can be purposeful, you can have emotions, even anger, and still lead? Hey, just a quick little interruption. As you know, I work with some of the best sales professionals and leaders who are looking to grow their businesses, build exceptional lives on the planet. And what I'm doing is I'm giving away $50,000 worth of coaching and training absolutely free. All you have to do is enter the drawing below, click on the link, enter your information, tell us just a little bit about you, and you could qualify for $50,000 worth of free coaching and training. Let's get back to the video. And the only thing I can tell you is that I believe that it's all about discipline. And this level of discipline that I just shared with you, all of the different ways that you can sort of measure whether or not you're there or not, I just think it takes commitment. And at the end of the day, I would rather be committed than compromised. I would rather do the thing I said I was going to do when I didn't want to do it, when it was easier not to do it, than be compromised later, not having done what I said I was going to do, being a liar, not achieving what I said I was going to achieve, not being able to provide and protect my family, all of the things. I'd rather be committed than compromise. And as leaders, that's how we are leading, whether we want to admit it or not, right? You have to be an absolute unapologetic badass to be a leader, in my opinion, right? And when I say leader, I'm talking about somebody who can actually change people's lives. There are lots of leaders out there that have the title. They earn a paycheck. Okay. But those are not the leaders I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ones that are actually changing people on a day-to-day basis, because you are a different kind of person. You are somebody that somebody looks at and goes, man, I'd like to be like that. That's amazing. They're gritty. They're in it for the team. Like that person's skilled beyond skilled. Like that's crazy. They have discipline. Whoa. Like you can see God working through their eyeballs, through their mouths, the way they carry themselves. Like that's the kind of leader that I'm talking about. And I said it earlier, right? What's bouncing in my head, like you don't choose to be that person, you decide to be that person. Do you see the difference? Like to be that committed, that disciplined, it's uncomfortable. And you have to make a decision that that's who you're going to do. Because you know what? Like I can choose all day long. I think the conversation is, or the comparison is like hunger. Have you ever been? Has anybody ever been like literally starving? Like I don't have any food. I have no way of getting food. I am broke. I'm talking about hungry. Like, well, no, I'm not talking about hungry. I'm like, I'm hungry, and then there's, I want something to eat, right? However you want to bridge it. I need some food, or no, I need some food. The people that are starving, the people that like homeless, no money, no food, no nothing, it's strange how they figure it out, right? I think the saying is, I've never seen a crackhead skip getting their hands on some crack, right? While that's rude and in your face, it's kind of true. You've never seen a drug addict that couldn't figure it out. I'm going to tell you right now, I've been broke, I've been homeless. I know exactly what it feels like. I was homeless for a long time, so don't feel too bad for me. But my point is that I didn't have any money and I didn't have any food. And somehow or another, I was able to eat. You know what I ate? I found peanut butter, and the peanut butter was on sale. It was probably a dollar store. Okay. I don't know if you remember Wonder Bread. So I'm so old that Wonder Bread was 69 cents. Okay. And so, but I'm sure it was chocked full of nutrients and vitamins, and it was really, really good for you. And then there was this stuff called Top Ramen. Anybody remember Top Ramen? I got it for 4 cents a pack. Okay, 4 cents. So I just want you to do all of the, like, check it out, do the math. I was literally eating for under what, 25 cents? But I ate. See, people are like, oh yeah, I'm hungry. They sit back. They don't need to eat. They like to eat, like they're hungry, but they're going to sit back. They're going to wait. Somebody's going to come. Somebody's going to cook it for them. Somebody's going to give it for them. Like there's a difference. And what's interesting is, in today's world, our kids, everything is so plentiful. And Shannon and I struggle this with our children, because Shannon grew up on government cheese on a ranch in cold AF Billings, Montana. I was out early, brutal, on your own. Neither one of us would be the people that we are today if it wasn't for those experiences. See, those experiences actually made us who we are, which is really a pretty good thing. And it's one of those deals where like everybody looks at something and they see it differently. It's the two brothers that grew up in the alcoholic family, and one of the brothers grows up and becomes the alcoholic, and they ask, you know, dude, what happened? Like, oh well, you know what? I just grew up in an alcoholic family. My dad drank every single day, and so I just became an alcoholic. The other one never drinks a day in his life. And you're like, dude, why don't you drink? Well, I grew up in an alcoholic family and I saw it every single day, and I just decided that I wasn't going to drink. See, it's the same people, different outcomes. For us, we believe that these challenges are what create this muscle in us that makes us who we are. And so while we're raising these kids, we're like, okay, well, how do we manufacture scenarios that can help them to find that hunger, to be that lion, to be that animal, to, to have extreme ownership because nobody was going to feed me, right? It was up to me. I was 16, up to me. Like nobody's coming. How do you help them build their strength? How do you build this courage that would give them this opportunity, this comfort and being discomfort? Like, hey, listen, throw me to the wolves, take my car, take my home. I'm still going to eat. Kind of tenacity. But maybe it's not just our kids. Maybe it's us. We spent a lot of time talking about the 4 foundations, not the 2 foundations, not business alone, not just 1 foundation, not 3 foundations, but actually 4. We fashion it around a table and about how if you had to eat a meal at a table where only 2 of the legs or 1 of the legs or 3 of the legs were level, it would still be a pretty uncomfortable meal. The point is for you to be a leader of men and women, a strong ass, badass person who changes lives, you've got to have your proverbial crap together so that you can lead them in all ways. Because let's face it, I'm not going to go out and be this great business person and then come home to a family that's in shambles. That's not success by any measure. That's not success. I also don't know how anybody could raise kids, stay married, build a great business without having God. So whatever that looks like to you, I mean, I just don't know how they could. There's just too much nonsense that goes on: struggle, pain, anger, frustration, evil. And then of course we all know somebody who goes out and they work and they work and they work and their kids love them and it's great. And then, but they don't take care of themselves. And then they don't end up not being able to walk their daughter down the aisle, or they're not there for their kids. My dad left this world when he was 16. I talk about it openly. I think it was one of the most selfish things he's ever done. It was very, very hard for me to forgive him. He smoked. He didn't know though. I'm sure he didn't know that smoking was bad for him. I'm sure he didn't know that it was going to make him sick. Bullshit. Of course he knew, but he chose and he said he could never quit and he couldn't do it and he couldn't do it. And then one day he found out he had cancer and he quit. Weirdly, he quit that moment. Right. So we don't want that. We want our table level. We want to grow it together. We want to be great leaders. Because what we do, what we demonstrate is what we're teaching our agents. And so my big question to you right now is, what are you teaching? I don't care if you got the position as leader or if you are a wannabe leader one day, or if you're just trying to develop your skills as a leader for an opportunity at home or a community. It doesn't really matter to me. But what are you teaching? Are you teaching them that it's really tough out there? Or are you teaching them that, hey, this is an incredible time, an incredible opportunity? Because y'all, I don't care what business you're in right now, everybody's distracted. See, there are all these companies that are out there that are like, oh, it's the disruption of an industry. Bullshit. It's not a disruption of an industry. It's a distraction of an industry. They're just selling the same widget, just in a different way. And rather than us just saying, hey, listen, you go with your artificial intelligence, you go with your little tech stack, you go out there and buy leads and do your thing. In the meantime, we're going to have real people delivering exceptional experiences to real people. And we believe that that will in turn keep our jobs, keep us relevant. By the way, you and I, we are the ones that are king of the hill. See, they're trying to knock us off of our pedestal because we are the kings of the hill. We sometimes don't, we forget that, don't we? Don't we forget? We're like, oh my gosh, it's the tech, it's the Wall Street, it's a da. No. Listen, here's an analogy, okay? If I go to a fine dining restaurant, am I willing to pay more? Am I willing to pay more? Yeah, 100%, right? 4-star, 5-star, three Michelin, whatever, right? But listen, I'll pay more for an exceptional experience, won't I? But I'm not going to pay that same amount at Elan Ducasse that I'm not going to go and spend that at Applebee's, right? Like, I'm not doing that. Well, y'all, they're committed. It's people, right? Like this isn't Instacart. This isn't oh, I hit the button at the kiosk and a burger and fries came out. I would expect to pay nothing for that because there was no service, there was no experience. All these people are doing is trying to compress your time, compress your pain points, and they're saying, "Oh, look at the service we're providing." That's bull. They're not providing service. They're removing some of the obstacles, but I want an experience. See, I didn't go to DeCoste because I wanted it fast. I didn't go to DeCoste because I wanted something cheap. I didn't go there because I just needed something in my belly. By the way, it's all, genetically engineered, and it's, all of the people that used to make it so that cigarettes and chewing tobacco were addictive now all work for, McDonald's and Pepsi and you name it. Did you know? That's not news to anybody, right? Okay. My point is that we are the kings. We own the space. They're not disrupting an industry. They are distracting many of the people that are in our industry from being who they need to be, continuing to be who they need to be, continuing to stack bricks on top of the mountain that they're already at the top of so that they can be better and better and better. This, ladies and gentlemen, is an incredible opportunity. While many of the very people that we compete with are all distracted with these people calling themselves disruptors, we can go in and absolutely dominate. Well, how would we dominate? Well, the first place we would dominate for a salesperson is to make sure that they understand how to be a salesperson, right? In sales, we talk about 5 to thrive, right? Our very own Jimmy Klega, Von Klega, right? But listen, we talk about 5 to thrive. What is that? Well, it's your clients and sphere of influence, numero uno. All right, one more interruption. Hey, listen, you guys know I'm working with salespeople and leaders all over the country, all over the world for that matter, and we're all focused on one thing. How is it that we have the greatest impact and change the most lives? So here's the thing. You don't have to pay me to be your coach. I'm going to give you my phone number. I want you to text me any question you've got. I promise you I'll answer it. Just try me. 833-338-0078. Ask me whatever you want. I'm in this for you, not just with you, for you. Let's get out there and crush it and change some lives. Your launch/open house, your farming strategies, your social media strategies, and how you show up online. 5 to thrive. If you checked all 5 of those, you would have an incredible, unstoppable, unbeatable, dominating business, period, end of story. Now, you have to actually do it. But we just talked about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. We talked about the difference that discipline and commitment makes to any of those things, but that's 5 to thrive. You still got to do the work. Okay, guess what? A computer can't make a phone call to your sphere of influence. They can't do it. They can't call and be like, "Aaron, what's happening, dude? How are you? How's your wife? How are the kids? What's going on with the dog? How is your travel going? Hey, is there anything I can do for you?" Hey, have the fact that the interest rates have dropped so much, has that changed your real estate plans for the next year? See, they can send out an email, but we're all inundated with emails. We're not paying attention to that shit. A tech stack can't launch and hold an open house for you. They can't door knock, they can't circle prospect, they can't meet with the seller, they can't communicate back what the feedback was. It doesn't work that way. Now, maybe they can do farming, but only one sliver of the farming, because as we know, everybody wants to think that farming is just sending out mail, but it's not. It's making phone calls, knocking on doors, et cetera. But if you do it the proper way, the sales warrior way, well, you have better outcomes. Same thing with social media. Although Jeff tried to, make it so that, he just recorded one thing and turned it into 100 videos, using technology to make what it is that you're doing better. It's still Jeff's face. It's still Jeff's words. It's still Jeff's teaching. It's still Jeff's influence. I had a conversation with a guy the other day, and we were talking about, what we were really talking about was golf, is how we got on the subject. And we were talking about how everybody picks up a golf club. How many golfers are on this right now? Okay. Oh, only a couple. Okay. So this will land for a couple of you. The rest of you have no idea what I'm talking about. I probably should have come up with a plan B, but I don't have one. So the idea with golf was we all picked up the golf club and all of us immediately shot 72 and we were just pros. No. Okay. I probably shot 150. And then I practiced a little bit and then I got down to like 120. And then, but with something really interesting happened at each place, I didn't go back. Right. So once I learned how to shoot 120, I didn't go back to 150. And then when I broke 100, I like didn't go back. I was a 90s golfer, which is super weird. But I'm like, wait a minute. Like it's not like it took lessons. And then all of a sudden I broke 90. I got into the 80s and then I just never went back. And then like every place you just had this sort of wild breakthrough. But at the time when you're a 90s golfer or a hundreds golfer, you just think that you're a 100s golfer and that's just it. You just don't have the talent, you don't have the skills, you don't have the understanding, the know-how. It just is what it is. But he said something to me that I'm like, oh my gosh, man, I am so stealing that. He said that the ceiling at one level is the floor of the next. I'm like, ooh. So the ceiling of our skill set, our knowledge today is simply the foundation of the next floor that we will go to. So what is that? Right? That's the opportunity that we have right there as leaders to teach them the skills that will get them to the next level. The skills that will be the floor of the level that they're at right now. So what is that? How do you speak to a buyer? I'm telling you right now, I don't care, mortgage, title, inspection services, real estate brokerage, like you name it, there is an incredible need to teach people how to speak. Listen, I had a conversation with a guy the other day where I was asking him to be my trainer, right? My wife is my person, right? But she's so busy doing what she's doing, and I just felt like me asking her to help me do a little tweak to my nutrition because I'm showing up to the Mexico Mastermind shredded. I don't know if you knew that. Anybody going to the Mexico Mastermind, just beware. Right? I've called my shot. I put it all out there. You all now have an obligation to hold me accountable to that. But so anyway, I went to this guy and I'm like, hey, and this is what he does for a living, just so we're clear. So I went to this guy and I'm like, hey man, so here's what I want to do. This is what I need to have it done by. And he was so bad at talking to me about what it was that I needed that I didn't hire him. And I wanted to hire him so bad, but I didn't hire him because I'm like, dude, anybody who's that bad at their job at selling their services can't be that good. So whether it be buyers, whether it be sellers, it doesn't really matter. How to build influence. I can't imagine anything more important in this market, especially with social media and online, where you've got all these people that don't know what the hell they're talking about, saying that they know what the hell they're talking about, and becoming the ones in charge, the influencers claiming authority. They don't have it, but there's all of these platforms now where people can go and become an influencer in about 12 seconds. All you have to do is hop to a, right? And next thing you know, you're an influencer. Did I do that right? Did I say that right? Probably not. I probably embarrassed my son. But here, my point is that you all have the authority in a space, whether it be mortgage, whether it be real estate sales, you have the authority in the space. And yet, if you will look, if you will go online and you will YouTube, Google search, social media search your town and what you do for a living, if you're not the one that comes up as the authority, as having the greatest influence, somebody's stealing your shit. They're stealing your clients, they're stealing your authority, and they're not as good as you are. You're the one, you know what to do, when to do, and how to do it. And yet they're taking your clients because they figured out how to game the system. So I would think as a leader, one of the greatest gifts we could give any of our salespeople would be how to build influence. There might be a video training on YouTube. Go to the Distinctive Agent Show and subscribe to that bad boy. But there is a training on there about how to use YouTube to build influence. The other one will be generate leads, right? I mean, like I just heard about an agent moving from one office to another office, all because the other office promised him leads. And I'm like, oh, that is so interesting, right? Didn't a lot of people fall into that trap? By the way, that's a team. right? So what happens is a team says, hey, listen, I'll give you a fish. 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 But do you know what happened to the teams the moment the economy shifted? All the team leaders took all the leads. Okay. And so all those people that thought they were being fed, all of a sudden you're out. First person to get, you're out. They literally, these people that were going on the teams were literally building their businesses on rented ground. They were building their businesses on ground that somebody else controlled and could kick them out, evict them at any time. And so as leaders, shouldn't we have those conversations? Hey, listen, you're on a team. Right now, you are beholden to somebody else for your success, your family's success, or that your family has a provide and protect. Okay. And I'm going to teach you how to do it differently. Right. And then, of course, habits. The habits that you need to have in today's economy are different, right? I think the saying is the old you can't accommodate where the new you is going. Somebody's got to be teaching them those habits. And as leaders, here's the thing that really well, I just touched on it. As leaders, you've got people that are in struggle. They're in crisis in your organization because they've been distracted by the so-called disruptors. They're being out influenced by people who have less authority, and they're looking to somebody else as their role model. And that somebody else is another leader at another organization or another coaching company or another fill in the blank, and they don't know what you know, but they're sharing it as if they do know. And so now's your opportunity to be a leader. But now is the opportunity with urgency. Gas is on the right, no brakes, all in, let's go. They're either going or they're growing. You decide. But listen to what I just said. If they're not growing because of you, they're leaving you. They're gone. Now they may leave you for another career and another business because they failed, but that sucks. As we say, if you don't do the work, shame on you. But if you do the work and you don't get the outcome, shame on me. So it becomes about habits. And Shannon and I had date night on Friday, and it was funny. So I just sort of alluded right to the fact that I have to be shredded by November. Is it 9th? November 9th? November. Oh, I have an extra day. November 10th, I have to be shredded by. Okay. Anyway, so we were having this conversation, and so I was like, you know what? And so I'm obviously on this journey from a physical perspective. My wife's been on it for years, right? So for her, she's built that muscle. She's super comfortable being uncomfortable in that space. There's a couple of you on this call that know exactly what I'm talking about, right? It's a what time you eat, how you control your emotions, what you're drinking, how much of what you're drinking, what supplements are you taking, how much time are you spending lifting, how much time are you spending in cardio, yeah, you know, like how much white rice. I'm down to freaking ounces of this and quarter cups of that. It sucks, but it doesn't. Here's my point. We're talking about habits. How do I teach other salespeople that are looking to me for leadership the habits that they need? Hey, sorry for the interruption. Last one. Hey, it's about that time, and we are doing business planning events all over the country. And I want to make sure that you have your absolute best year ever. The people that go through our business planning, on average, make over $250,000 per year. And if you're looking to do that, if you're a sales professional, text me at 833-338-0078. Just text me the town that you are in, and I will send you information about the business planning event that we're doing in your area. All right, let's get back to the video. And as we're going through this, I'm like, man, okay. So we're on this journey, increase my condition, right? I know that it's a habit that will make me a better leader. I know that because it's discipline, and it's discipline in an area that I would prefer not to have discipline. See, it's not something I enjoy, but it is who I want to be known for. See, I want somebody to look at me, YouTube, in person, don't matter, and I want them to be like, whoa, like that guy has got some discipline. That guy is strong. That guy's relentless. Hey, that guy's jacked. That's what my brand to be. I want to be known for that so that other people can be like, hey, listen, I want some discipline like that. And it doesn't have to be physical. Maybe it's discipline in fit in finance. Maybe it's discipline in relationships and family. It doesn't matter, but like that's my brand, right? So that's what we're talking about. I'm like, well, shit, Shannon, like we've done this with our marriage. We did that through, 100, 100. If you don't know what that is, it's, Shannon and my, like, this is not a 50-50 relationship. You're 100 responsible for the relationship. I'm 100% responsible for the relationship. I'm going to outserve you. It becomes a competition. I'm a better husband than you are a wife. Watch this, hold my beer, all of the things, right? And this is not a promise that I made to you. This is a covenant that I made to God. So, like, because we all break promises to each other, but you would never do that to God. So here we are. We did that with our spirituality, attending and belonging to a church. Didn't want to do that. I really like the couch. I really like streaming it on television. There's this technology for that now, but that's not what we do. We go to church. We pray before meals. We pray for each other. We do it multiple times a day. Like, these are all things. These are habits that we developed because we knew that it would take us to a different level of intimacy with our faith. Here's my point. Okay. The same thing happens in our business. If we have people who are earning 5 figures, it's because they have 5-figure habits. So if they want to make 6 figures, by the way, we have many that make 7 figures in our world. Okay. Upgrade your habits. Adopt 6-figure habits. Get 7-figure habits. Like, how do we help from a leadership perspective to get them to a place where they can do better? 7-figure habits. It's not that deep, right? What are they? Morning routines, nighttime routines, nutrition standards, mindset. Well, the words we speak. How are you feeling? Outstanding. Are you tired? I never get tired. The people that we spend time with, what we listen to, what we watch. Y'all, I get that it's like political season, but like, our president is not bigger than our God. Like, our world's not going to come to an end because of a politician. Like, I have an opinion about it, but I'm certainly not going to watch the news and have that nonsense go into my ears and cloud. That's not a 7-figure habit, right? And we're here to build a 9-figure business. Upgrading your habits looks a lot like practice and preparation. It looks a lot like living to a schedule. Not sometimes, all the time. So what are we teaching? What are we teaching the people that we are tasked with leading? And again, that may be at work, that may be at home, that may be in your communities, that may be your girls' crew, your golf buddies, like whatever. Like, how do you show up there? Are you going onto the golf course and pounding a 6-pack? Like, if that's what you're leading, awesome, knock yourself out. But don't complain about the headache later. Some of us are teaching people and some of us are not teaching. And I'm not sure which is worse, but they're both bad. At some point, from a leadership perspective, we got to show up, put up, let's go. By the way, our sales teams, they will determine our outcomes, right? Their actions will determine our outcomes in our business organizations. And so our job is to micro measure our people. The data tells you everything you needed to know. No call, no sale. You make the calls, you don't get the sale. It means that you've got a skill set issue. And these are all areas where I can have an impact. We've got to get really focused. Our leadership, it's a choice that we're going to make or we're not going to make. And none of us were born leaders, y'all. I just want to make sure that everybody's clear. Nobody on this call was just a born leader. What happened is we decided, gosh, you know what? I really like this, or I have a calling, or I have a purpose. And then all of a sudden, well, how are you going to develop as a leader? Well, I mean, as they say, like, opinions, you were either born with them or you adopted them or you adapted them. You weren't born with them. We came out and we went, okay, great, here we are. But I don't know. Should I like that? Should I dislike that? And either somebody gave them one or we took somebody's and we changed it for us. Same thing with leadership. That's what you're doing, is you're helping people adopt or adapt their belief system, around discipline, around comfort, around discomfort, around commitment, to do the things that they have to do to get a different result. There's this thing called your identity. It's what the world says you are. And what I say is, you were put exactly here. You wouldn't be on this call if you didn't believe you were a leader. if you didn't believe that you had the ability, the calling, the purpose to have an impact on other people, it's not just about money. Your identity is what he says you are. And you are here for a reason. So, y'all, like, if he says that, then who could ever tell you differently? So I'll leave you with this. Love the saying, you have to decide. Okay. You have to decide that you're going to be different. You're going to be a leader. Do it right now. And when I say right now, I mean right now. Okay. Because someday is not a day of the week. Love that. Someday is not a day of the week. Our actions, what we do, they tell on us. That's called micromanaging, but you can look in the mirror. And if you've added a few extra lbs over the years, it's telling on you. You just didn't exercise enough or you didn't eat right. It's not rocket science. Okay. It's just is what it is. It just told on you. The life that we're living today is just the grand total of our habits, probably from a year or two ago, which, by the way, is really good news, because what that means is that you can change it. That's the thing. But you're going to have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You're going to get strong in this area of doing some things that you haven't done before. And by the way, that's going to get easy for you, and you're going to have to find new ones. And that's just part of the way it works. But all of this, next thing you know, you're at the top of Everest and you're like, holy smokes, look where I got to. And then you look behind you and you took a bunch of people with you, and there's a sea of lives that you changed. And that's what we're here to do. So I got to go, but I love you guys. You all are amazing. Go out and do something special. Go out and change some lives. Talk to you later.